Hey everyone, welcome back. This is the third attempt on this video. The second one, the first one, sometimes I do these videos and I don't script them at all. I don't usually have notes. There's no like whiteboard in front of me or anything, although I've thought about it. And I usually just have an idea and get myself kind of worked up about it, and then I'm like, okay, let's try to do this. Sometimes I'll go all the way through it and I'll realize like that was pretty good, but now that I know what I'm really talking about, let's just go back and do it. And the second take will be way better, and that's the one I used. And I still edit quite a bit. I used to try and get every little and ah out of there. It can drive me nuts trying to do that. And I think it's just a self-confidence thing too. If you do, I don't know how many I'm up to now, 160 of these videos or something like that. You just get used to it, and it doesn't, little things don't bother you as much, and maybe I'm better at it where I don't have as much to cut. Anyway, I had the second version of this all done, and then my computer completely acted up. Like ran out of space, which seemed weird to me, but iCloud was putting every little bit of files it could on my hard drive and not leaving any wiggle room. Therefore, everything slowed down to a crawl. I talked to two different Mac guys, specialists working for Apple. Neither one of them really had an answer. And it took forever to kind of get my computer working. I lost a ton of files. It's crazy. So I'm glad the weekend is here, and I'm going to do this video again because I don't even want to go looking for the other video, even though I think it probably was close to being like done. I had already edited a lot of it. And I'm just going to start over. This video originally was about relationships and about people, musicians who have a really significant other or spouse or partner that we know about or they sing about. And I want to get back to that. I do want to do that topic, and I have my records picked out. The video got a little long, and I think I can just make this one a little bit shorter and hopefully keep your engagement a little bit more. And yeah, there'll be another announcement too that kind of plays off of a word I just said. So hang in there for that. This is essentially a review of this Jeff Tweedy box set. Jeff Tweedy album. It's 3 albums long. It's called Twilight Override. Why did this originally tie in with the relationship record theme? Because I think he does have such a good relationship with Susie, his partner, former owner of Lounge Acts in Chicago. You know, they married, I think, in 1995. They have 2 kids. And at this point, we pretty much know, if you're a Wilco fan or a Jeff Tweedy fan, you pretty much know their family. And you might have gotten to know them really well during the pandemic. And I don't know if it's still on or how long it went. I was not a regular watcher, but I'm talking, of course, about the Tweedy show. And, you know, they invited you literally right into their living room, and they're hanging out in their pajamas and playing songs. And a lot of those songs that they played would wind up on some records that we would hear later. So, you know, I've always kind of admired what he has. I've always kind of admired the way he respects and honors his wife. Talks about her a lot. Had an album dedicated to her, Suki Ray. A lot of songs about doubt. A lot of songs about like he has such a good thing, he's worried about losing it. I've kind of complained about that a little bit in the past. Like, dude, you know, enough of those songs, you know, because he was starting to sound really samey with his records, including his solo records, or primarily his solo records. But I would say for a while there, when we had Warm and Warmer and Love is the King and Ode to Joy by Wilco, things just started to sound kind of just one dimensional, whereas there was always a lot going on with Wilco records, or a lot of layers, a lot of things to think about. And I think that all changed with Cruel Country. That was a double record, one of my favorite Wilco records. It's up there. I don't know, best record since whatever, but for me, it'd probably be best record since at least Sky Blue Sky, if not A Ghost Is Born. I mean, I absolutely love that record. I think he got it right. It probably helped that he had a vision. He had something to sing about. Cruel Country, the state of the world, and also post-pandemic, to just get everybody back in the room and create a very organic record. And I see a lot of similarities between that record and this one, Twilight Override. Of course, we had Cousin in between and that EP by Wilco. But this is 3 records of 3 albums, 3 albums of new material released at one time under one title called Twilight Override. People look at other triple records. I mean, there's very few of them. Sandinista, um, George Harrison's record, All Things Must Pass. But like the George Harrison one, some of that was a concert, and there weren't 30 new songs, and unlike the Clash's record, this one is not experimental at all. It really sustains a mood over 2 hours, like most records can't over 35 minutes or 40. I must say, I was not super excited when this got announced. I was like, oh my God, really? Like, this could be a real undertaking. And then the singles started dropping, and I loved every single one of them. There wasn't one I didn't like, and I try not to overplay them too much because I really like to hear albums all the way through, the way they're meant to be presented. But I didn't hear anything I didn't like. In fact, it made me pretty excited. I mean, we probably heard 6 or 7 songs by the time this thing came out. So I'm I was very pleasantly surprised when I listened to this thing all the way through, and there's not a single song that I'm like, oh, why'd you put that? That's annoying, or why'd you put that one on there? I mean, my favorite artists, there's usually like one song on a record or one song every other record or whatever that I'm just like, oof, why'd you put that on there? Like, oh my God. Either it interrupts the flow or it's just an obnoxious experiment that didn't work. Something. And there's none of that in here. People could say, oh, I like my albums to be more diverse. And I was thinking about that the other day. I don't. I like my albums to sustain a mood. If they can be diverse and a very diverse music, but I don't necessarily want a ton of diversity between the songs that's jarring and takes me out of it. And oh, now we got a really mellow song. Oh, now it's a rock song. Now it's electronica. That shit would drive me nuts. I'd rather have that on albums, right? Like this album is very experimental compared to the album before it, kind of thing. Try new things on albums. This album plays like mid-tempo, singer-songwriter, kind of very low key, somewhat acoustic, like primarily acoustic, I guess, all the way through. But where the biggest difference between this record and Warm and Warmer or Love is the King is he's really using his background band. I read some interview where he was writing songs for them. Like I think in the past, a lot of it was like he'd have songs lying around, and whether one would go to Wilco or a solo project kind of depended on maybe how the band reacted to it. But it seems like from his interviews that there were a number of these songs that he wrote for the band, primarily because he would notice when they played live that the background vocals would really enhance the songs that he wrote. So, he made these songs for the Tweedy band, this band that backs him up, and really highlights those background vocals. That is to me like probably the coolest thing about this is hearing those background vocals because it can just be just gorgeous, especially on disc 2. I know some more on disc 2 than disc 2 in the beginning of disc 3. I know some a lot. I mean, they're there throughout, but there's some songs where they're just really, really, really is prominent. The other thing I noticed is just the drumming. The drumming, the rhythm section just seems so tight. And of course, you got Spencer, his son, on drums, who is just a phenomenal drummer. And then we've got his kid, Sammy, who's playing, he's a more dominant role here than he was on any of the other records, where he's playing a lot of synths, keyboards, and a lot of background vocals. There's also 2 female background vocals on here that are just phenomenal, really add just so many lovely textures to it. Tweedy does a majority of the guitar on here. I mean, there's some by James. I'll put his name in front of my face here so you can see it, but a lot of these is like disc 2. The entire disc 2 is all Tweedy on guitar. He's not used a whole lot, but he adds a lot. But Tweedy's doing a lot of not only like holding down a song, just playing like acoustic guitar and having some interesting parts, but also coming in with like noise and just really unexpected guitar parts throughout. It just makes it like a really organic, warm listen. I mean, it's like a sonic hug. I mean, he said that he wanted to make this as sort of something to take you away from social media and the nonstop news and just the god awful stories around the world and what's happening to the United States right now. I mean, it's awful. And so many of us are just completely, caught up in it, myself included. And it's just really nice to, I love the idea of having something where you're just going to like, okay, I'm just going to listen to this and immerse myself in it. And I do that a lot with albums anyway, but I found that, I can sit here and listen to Twilight Override all the way through, all 3 discs, 2 hours. And like Tweedy said, he's made albums that seem longer. Like, it is true. I mostly have played it in the morning that way, and I'm just amazed how well it works. So getting into like some of the songs, I mean, One Tiny Flower, I think that was the first song we ever heard off this as a single. Just love the optimism in there. One tiny flower growing up in the concrete, growing through the concrete, or a crack in the concrete. Yeah, I don't know. Love that one. Love Caught in the Past. This whole first side of the first record is really seems to be about like the past. Like, he supposedly divided these songs into past, present, and future. And this one, especially the first side, I mean, a song like Parking Lot, thinking about the different Tweedies he could have been. It's funny, I was thinking about that recently too. I mean, I changed high schools, went from a pretty big high school to a very small one, a 10-hour drive away from each other. We're talking, different states. And I often wonder if instead of the bigger city having an impact on me, had it been the opposite, would I have this channel? Would I have moved to Minneapolis and gone to see all these shows and moved to West Coast and all that stuff? I don't know, might have been more of a small town kid. And that's the way that he talks here too, just wondering about these things, wondering if he would have been like a kind of like a guy obsessed with cars. Forever Never Ends. Not only is it just an insanely catchy song, but I love the fact that he's singing about a bad prom date. Not so much the date, but the experience of drinking too much and puking on the side of the road and having to have his dad come pick him up. It's just, again, I mean, some of these they're such good stories and they're so vivid, you can't help but kind of draw comparisons to your own life. Yeah, the second side, there's certain songs in here that have yet to really sink their teeth in, but every time they come on, I'm like, kind of in awe of them. One of them is Mirror. I love that song. I love Throwaway Lines. It's kind of much more simple song. Almost sounds like very few people are on it other than Tweedy. I love Betrayed too. I mean, more of a slightly more conventional borderline rock song on here. And each one of these albums features Tweedy. And then the second disc, instead of just having one Tweedy, we get two Tweedies. The only complaint I'd have about packaging here, so you get these on every record, right? You get the lyrics front and back, and then they're identical. So you've got like, two Tweedies, three Tweedies, the songs in the back, and then the yellow album sleeve that has lyrics on the front and back. Only thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way is, for such a phenomenal band that backs him, I just wish there were some pictures. Yeah, he details who plays what on the record, which is great, but they're so good and they're such a part of this that I just kind of wish there's some casual group shots the way you'd see, we have seen in some reviews or some articles about this record. It's a minor thing. Other than that, I mean, I love, the box that this thing comes in, I mean, look at all those songs. It's like you would expect that from like a box set of unreleased recordings or something, or I don't know, Springsteen like Live 75-85 type compilation, not one studio record that has, well, 3 studio records that happen to be one release. But yeah, side 3 is definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite. I mean, I love Casey Rain. I love Out in the Dark. That was one of those singles. New Orleans is just so hypnotic, and it really does just kind of make you think of the city of New Orleans. It's sort of that funeral march sound at the beginning. Yeah, very hypnotic song, and then ends with Over My Head. I love the second disc is probably my favorite, to be honest. I love the feel of the whole thing, and like I said earlier, I like the background vocals. Western Clear Skies, Blank Baby, No One's Moving On. I love that. I mean, just, it's so true. You think about what's going on in the world, or what are societies like post-pandemic. I think he's kind of getting at some of these things here too. His lyrics are a lot more direct in general. I had complained about some Wilco and Tweedy records that the lyrics were just getting so obscure. I'm like, I didn't know what he's talking about, and they lose all power. A lot of that, I look at Ode to Joy that way. I don't know what he's talking about half the time. It sounds cool, but it's so random. And I read his book, How to Write One Song, and I write songs, but I was hoping to learn more, and I was really disappointed that most of what he talked about was just cut up, kind of combining random phrases and words and hoping to find meaning from it. I mean, hey, maybe he did. I don't know. I had a hard time with that. I don't feel like he's. I feel like he's speaking much more direct. I feel like he knows there's a lot of pain and suffering in the world, and there's just a lot of frustration, and he's just kind of using his family, who he's naturally just playing really well with, and just sharing kind of these thoughts, situations, very personal stuff, but it doesn't seem too coded. I mean, there's some songs, but a lot of it just you can kind of figure out. I can much easier than on some of the other records. And then when you get into disc three, "Do We Do's My Babysitter." I mean, like that's it's a great like rock song on here. "The Dead Don't Die, the Dead Don't Die, the Dead Don't Die." I didn't love it at first, but now I really like it when it comes on. Amar Berardi, he's the um, Indian guy that has his arm in the air, and he has as sort of a religious thing or a suffering for peace kind of thing that he's been doing it, I think, since he's a kid. Uh, yeah, he doesn't let you forget, Tweedy, that his arm is in the air, it's in the air, it's still in the air. Stray Cats in Spain. Now, this was the single too. Now I hear it and I'm just like, I think it's just such a gorgeous song. Just being in Spain, hearing this kind of people in the streets, and then going to see a legendary band like the Stray Cats, who I'm sure had a big effect on him back, in '82 or whenever they were really active. Yeah, it's just what it really kind of captures what that's like to just when all the stars kind of align, and it's just like this perfect day, and you're seeing a band. Um, Ain't It a Shame? I mean, there's this record seems less death obsessed records than a lot of Tweedy's stuff. Ain't It a Shame or Ain't That a Shame at first? Ain't It a Shame? I thought was a little too much, but the more I hear it, the more I like it. Like it'd be nice to be able to control how you die, essentially. If I die on a beach, and yeah, I don't know. I dig it. Twilight Override, the song, pretty cool. This Is How It Ends on the second side. Love that one. Uh, and Enough is one of the highlights of this whole set, and that's the last song we hear on here. I'd love to quote lyrics. I decide not to for this. There's just so much. I feel like um, it would be really a serious undertaking. Maybe someday, if this record continues to resonate, maybe I'd break it down album by album. I thought about it, but I'm going to keep this somewhat short. But if you've not checked out Twilight Override by Jeff Tweedy, or if you're thinking, oh, why in the world would I want to listen to 3 records by this guy? I think this is a time to jump on board again or try it. Of course, it's streaming, the whole thing. You can buy it on vinyl. This says limited edition, this box. I don't know, what does that mean? Is it going to be available in a kind of different format later on? That's still vinyl? I have no idea, but it's really cool to have. The other thing I want to mention before I forget is that it sounds really good. I mean, I'm not a guy that chases different pressings and all that. Well, this is only available in a couple different pressings. There's two colored vinyls, and I have the standard black. But the standard black, and from what I've heard, the other ones too, are so quiet, and it sounds so good. It just sounds so warm. I said that before. I feel like in a way he should have saved the title "Warm and Warmer" from those previous solo records and given it to this, because it is like a warm sonic hug. It just feels good. It feels very autumnal. It sounds great. Yeah. So definitely check it out. Now, why was I talking about artists and like their partners, supportive partners, and these great kind of couples? How much I respect that, and I want to get back to that, and I will. But the reason I did that, and the reason why I did it to kind of highlight this record, is I feel like Tweedy does that as well, right? His family is a source of strength and foundation, and he just speaks so highly, and and respectfully about his wife, and gives us kind of like a little role model. A lot of people I think can really look up to Tweedy as far as how he lives life. Um, but part of the reason I did all that is because I just got engaged. And if you don't know, the archivist, Amanda, and I have been going out for what, almost 4 years, like 3 years and I don't know, 9 months or something like that. And I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. So we are engaged, and yeah, a lot of what we bond over is music. I mean, she's as into music as I am, and I never thought I'd meet somebody who's as into music as I am, like dating material. Like, what? Are you kidding me? And I think a lot of things that I thought I might be aging out of, like being totally obsessed with music and just buying a lot of stuff and listening to a lot of stuff, I felt like maybe I was growing out of that. And some of that had to do with the pandemic and music being shut down and different priorities, or just, I don't know, being in a funk or whatever. But it's really nice to meet somebody who or be with somebody who is so on the same page with priorities, and sees beauty in music and appreciates music, and other things. I mean, all this carries over, of course, to plenty of other things. But yeah, I probably would not have this channel if it wasn't for her. And I want to feature her more on here too. I mean, we both have pretty sizable record collections. I mean, they're not absolutely enormous, but the interesting thing is that they don't really overlap that much. I mean, I've certainly featured some albums from her side and all that, but it might be fun to have her talk about music on here a little bit more often, or at all. I haven't really featured her at all, other than there was a video, I guess, where we were Chris, the long cut, and Mazzy were over, and it was fun, like about a year ago, and we did a group thing. And well, the archivist she's been on a lot of Mazzy's videos. Back when they were roommates before I swept her away. But anyway, I just want to share that with you guys. I know, like, there's this vinyl community, and you get to know different people, and you may or may not have known that. But yeah, just want to share that. So really good news from my side over here, and yeah, hope you have a great weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.